DaVo here from the Axiom Body Piercing Studio in Des Moines, Iowa. And coming up next, what's the difference between a lip piercing and a labret piercing? When somebody comes in the studio and they ask for a lip piercing, generally what they're talking about is something that's along the bottom of their lip. However, it kind of tends to be a catch-all of anything that's protruding from the mouth. And one of the first questions I always usually ask them is, do you want a lip piercing or do you want a labret piercing? And when I ask that question, what I'm asking about is more of a technical side of it, of what angle are you interested in having done, and what type of jewelry do you want to wear in that piercing when it heals. It doesn't really matter. There are certain piercings that have to be done as a labret. For example, most of the piercings on the upper lip need to be done as a labret piercing. However, most of them on the bottom, to a degree, can be done with a ring. Cheek piercings, which is kind of its own little animal, also needs to be done as a labret piercing. So let's break down the difference between a lip piercing and a labret piercing. A lip piercing is done at an angle which is more almost to a vertical point through the lip. It's done just, if you grab your lip and you pinch, you'll notice there's a nice thicker ridge. It's done roughly 1/8 of an inch below that. And the top is pierced where if you lick your lips, you'll know it's rough on the outside, that colored place, and then when you go to the smooth area that's on the inside, it's usually 1/8 of an inch into the smoothness of your lip. So, how far it is in the mouth is usually dictated by the location. As, for example, out here where your lips are not as protruding, they'll be more into the mouth a little bit, while right here in the center, they'll be almost straight up and down. When we're talking about a labret piercing, what we're talking about is something that's done straight through the mouth at a 180-degree angle. Usually can only be done with labret jewelry. Like I said earlier, there's certain piercings that's the only way that they can be done. So, what is the main difference and how does that affect you afterwards? Truth of the matter is lip piercings, you pretty much can only wear rings and maybe a curved barbell depending on where the location is. They're done very close to the edge of the lip and usually carve at a lower risk to doing enamel erosion, gum erosion, and softening the bones inside your mouth per se than a labret stud, which is I'll put a picture up here. Labret stud is a post piece of jewelry with a flat disc on one side, post, and then a ball or something that's threaded in on the other side. With that type of jewelry, you usually have that disc sitting on the inside of your lip and then protruding outward. We generally try to pierce them above the gum line or below the gum line to eliminate gum erosion. However, it is in constant contact with teeth and gums, so there's always an issue of causing damage to them in some of the general bone structure of your mouth. So, when you're considering what you want to get done, you do want to take into account. Now, a lot of people will be like, well, what difference does it make? It's a whole new thing, you just put this in. When we're talking about a labret piercing where the angle is straight in like this, it dictates that you have to have a labret stud. One of the reasons why is if you try to put a perfectly circled ring into that location and it's this far into your mouth, it's going to take up a lot of space. However, you can find oval piercing or oval rings sometimes that maybe fit it, but still it's not going to be as comfortable. With a lip piercing where you have this angle that's almost like this, if you have a flat disc sitting at the top of your lip, you're going to get it caught on your front teeth probably on a regular basis. Plus, it's going to do damage when it rubs against your teeth and gums and everything else. So you kind of need to plan that out ahead of time and have kind of a clear concept of it. As far as what's in the name, there are countless names for the same piercings. Especially, it seems like oral piercings, it's completely out of control. It's kind of a shorthand for those in the know to kind of, instead of saying, oh yeah, the two lip piercings I have on the side of my lip, to say, you know, it's this piercing or it's that bite or this bite or that bite. Or instead of saying I want a beauty mark, well, I want a Crawford because it's on this side, or a Monroe because it's on this side. Basically, if you go into your piercer, one of the first things I always generally do is go, okay, now that we've decided what type of jewelry you want and what you want to wear in the long term and what the angle of the piercing is going to be, where do you want it? Because a lot of times people have looked it up, came up with a term that may or may not be the correct term, but it seems like it is, and the next thing they know, we're marking the other side of the face, and they're like, no, I didn't want it on that side, or the angle's different, or it's off to one side or the other. So it's always very, very important not only to have, as a piercee, as somebody who's coming to get a piercing, to point to where you want it, but also it's important that they mark it and you take a look at it and make sure that that's the piercing that you want. So anyway, like I said, you can read a lot more information on it in the blog that I posted a couple years ago. I just did a revision of it that's a little bit more detailed. If you have any questions or comments on this, or what have you, even if it's not about Labret piercings, feel free to make a comment in the comment section below. Also, please subscribe. If you like these videos and we do our weekly update, to make sure that you see those on a regular basis, subscribe. And if you really want to make sure, click that bell next to the subscribe so that you can get the notifications. If you'd like to see some of my other educational videos on piercing, go ahead and click on that playlist. If you'd like to see some of the other, the latest content from this channel, from the Axiom Body Piercing Studio in Skin Kitchen Tattoo, click on that playlist. Other than that, you guys have a good day, and we'll see you for your piercing needs in the future.